I was going to ask about that. Is that something you want to talk about? The Fear the Revolt thing, and people had think they had claim to it. There was a dispute. We can edit it out, or we can talk about it, or you can just say you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. We've never talked about it before. We've never discussed it before. We've always steered away from it, but it's been 3 years. So, and I talked to Mike Dawkins, and Dawkins said, go for it. So
now I know these guys. I've seen them wrestle. I've seen them wrestle a few times.
Sorry.
You know? And, you know, as soon as you come out with Fear the Revolt, there's a dispute with a tag team, independent tag team. And there were some negotiations, I think, that took place. And they could have maybe really benefited from the situation, but maybe didn't. What can you tell us about that whole Revolt tag team thing?
So it was a tag team from the North Carolina Indies for, I don't know, I guess a year or so before we came, from Caleb Conley from Impact, or was it Impact or whatever, and his partner
Zane Riley.
Zane Riley. There you go. Yep. Zane Riley. And they called themselves the Revolt. And I guess they had called themselves the Revolt on the North Carolina Independents for a while. Not that I guess, I know they did. And so our idea was, me and Cash were the first guys in WWE to ask at the time, to ask for our release. We wanted to get out, you know. And then if you see, you know, after us, not because of us, I'm just saying after us, a lot of guys started asking for the release or whatever, putting it on Twitter. They wanted to get out or whatever. But we were the first ones to ask for a release and make it known. And so, you know, we were trying to think of FTR, the acronym FTR, names for that. And Fear the Revolt was something I thought of, because we had always said Forever the Revival, Fear the Revival. We had talked about that, but Fear the Revolt because we had revolted against WWE. And that's kind of the idea we wanted to put in people's minds, that we were the guys to revolt against the big machine. And now we're coming to this company who is an upstart company, and we're going to try to help make it, you know, whatever. And so we had videos made and trademarked the name. And then I get a tweet from Caleb Conley, or there's a tweet where we're tagged in it, that said we had stolen their idea. Stolen their name, excuse me. And I didn't respond to it, didn't say anything to it. And then I got maybe a couple of days later, got a text from him. I said, "This is Caleb." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "Are you guys going to be called the Revolt?" And I said, "No, we're not going to be called Revolt. We're going to be called FTR, which is going to stand for Fear the Revolt, because we are revolting against the WWE, the big machine." And he said, "Well, that's my tag team name." And I said, "Dude, I had no idea that was your tag team name." I said, "If you think for the last however long that you guys have been teaming, that I've been coming home on my day and a half off and looking up North Carolina independent wrestling instead of hanging out with my wife and daughter," I said, "you're sadly mistaken, dude." Right. That's the last thing I was worried about, was what you and your partner or anybody else on the North Carolina independent scene, or independents in general, were doing. I wanted to make sure that, like, dude, I've told you before, like, I had a caffeine addiction, where we're talking about it one day, but I literally thought that I was going to have a heart attack at an AEW show because I drank so much caffeine. But I had a caffeine addiction from being on the road so much. I would wake up, go to Starbucks, 3 coffees there, go to the gym, have a pre-workout, workout, either we'd go to the coffee shop to have a coffee on the way to the building for WWE show, have our match on the way to the next town, which was usually 2, 3, or 4 hour drive. We would drink coffee or drink bangs until we got to the hotel room. I'd barely be able to sleep, wake up and do it all over the next day. And then when I got home with my family, I made sure to over caffeinate, because I wanted to make sure my daughter knew that when Daddy was home, at least he was home and he was there for everything. You know what I mean? And so I never worried about that stuff. I never thought about that stuff. So when he, reached out to me about that, I looked up their tag team, and I saw they had teamed like 3 or 4 times for one company. right? He was in, I saw that Caleb was in Impact. He was in Ring of Honor by himself, not with his team. And I said, well, are you guys going to actually team and use that name? Because I've only seen you do some of the bigger shows like Ring of Honor and Impact. And I can promise you that I would never, ever take a booking for a big show like that without Cash, because he's my partner. And, they had no answer to that. And we had Dawkins talk to their lawyer, and we said, look, we'll pay for your we will pay for your copyright as the Revolt. So you can have the Revolt. You'll be called the Revolt. We will be called FTR, and it will only mean Fear the Revolt. Then we will also give you a percentage of whatever merch we sell that has the name Revolt on it. And they said, no, they didn't want that. And we ended up winning, and we got the name Fear the Revolt. But then Tony, who's such a great human being, said, look, let's not even engage in that. Let's give that name to them. You guys don't need that. If they feel so strongly about it, let them have it. So we couldn't have it. The only thing that upsets me, and I still hold this heat to both of those guys, which I think I might have told you about WrestleCon when I saw Zane Riley in the bathroom. But the only heat that I hold towards them now is that I spent thousands and thousands of dollars to Mike Dawkins to take care of something we could have taken care of by ourselves. But I spent thousands of dollars to him that I could have given and put in Finley's college fund. You know what I mean? Or I could have taken care of the groceries for a couple of weeks or whatever. That's the thing that I can't forget about and forgive.